I worked in the very first room. It was like a sort of bedroom type place where the story was that like a little girl and her family and like her sisters, they got possessed by like these evil spirits, and like they were being hunted down. So like one of them was acting like she was gonna kill people, and then like others were like screaming, help me, you need to get out of here," that kind of thing. So that way, like it just created that like foreboding feeling that hey, we shouldn't keep going, but we sort of have to keep going. So it already sort of like makes the people scared as they enter.
I worked on the third room you would enter. That was the room with like all of the neon painting, and the one with all the pictures of the teachers. That was the room I worked on. The part that I was mostly at was at the part where it was with all the principals, and the picture of Principal Jones would drop, and then I would scare you. I would come out of the frame and scare you right there.
The way we did it is everybody was separated into different groups, and each group took like a certain section of the haunted house, and then each section had their own theme. Our theme changed, I think, like 3 or 4 different times, so we had to keep like sort of resetting and starting over. I think the biggest challenge was that we knew what we wanted to do, but we weren't quite sure how to do it. So like for a large portion leading up to it, we would just sort of be sitting there, racking our brains like, okay, how can we possibly do this? And so for a long time, like it all looked very bare, to the point where it was like, guys, our deadline's approaching, we gotta figure this out, but we just didn't know how to do it. But then like we got this like pep talk from Mr. Aguilar on Watkins, and we're like, okay, we got this now. So like it was pretty crazy. Like one day it was it looked completely empty, and then like 2 or 3 days later it was like it was perfect. So the biggest thing that we incorporated from Knott's Scary Farm was having a story. So the Knott's executives who were like in charge of it, they sort of taught us that what really sells a haunted house is making the patrons feel like they're part of it by giving them a story to walk through. So like for example, the one we got to tour, because we did get to go through one of the mazes, was Waxworks. So the story was that the owner of a wax museum was starting to like turn actual people and like into what his wax works by dumping them into boiling vats of wax while they were still alive. So our story, which was set up by the video that everybody would watch before they actually went through the haunted house, was that it was a sort of social experiment type thing, where scientists wanted to see what the effects of fear had on the human mind. So if you notice, all of our like themes sort of delved around some sort of common fear, like bugs. We had clowns in one room. We had the butcher slaughterhouse, like possession, graveyard. All of them were like common fears that people might have. And so, yeah, that was our thing, just to sort of stimulate fear, and both in story and real life.
Elements of people are going to be looking everywhere, so everywhere in your room you have to have something for people to look at, because they're going to look at everything. It's not like a screen where you're just looking at a screen, they're looking at everything like 360, so you always have to keep them occupied with looking at something. So in the haunted house, in our room, which was the neon with all the paintings and the pictures, with that we kind of overwhelmed you with the neon like splattered all over the place, and everywhere you look there's kind of like a picture of a teacher, so you're always occupied looking at something, kind of distracting you from the real scare that's about to hit you. And that's where we kind of get the reactions out of you, because you're distracted and you don't realize what's coming until it's too late, and then you scream because you get scared. I'd say as a whole, not just our room, my favorite part was all of Pathways just coming together, because it was something that we finally worked on, and we got ourselves out there as Pathways did this. Our group of seniors did this. And so that kind of brought us all together and made us all closer. So I feel like that would be my favorite part of the maze, just that we all got closer building within 2 weeks. And so we all got closer as like friends.
My favorite part was probably, well, the obvious one is scaring people, because it was fun to it felt very relieving being able to do that, just because there were no consequences for just yelling at people, and sometimes you just need to yell. And then the other thing was more just seeing it from start to end, the ending, because it really was just the 500 building, classrooms, some broken desks around. There really wasn't anything, and seeing our entire class being able to come together and create something that people were able to enjoy, that people enjoyed it enough to come through it multiple times, even though part of the fun is just going through it the first time. And then it gaining enough attention that the district board members came, it's just, it really dawned on me that, wow, we did something huge and we had a lot of fun doing it. So seeing the final product, even not just actually scaring itself, but just seeing people enjoy it, that's what was most fun for me and what I most enjoyed about it.